this was obviously a feud many years in the making. The first singles match Christian Cage has won against Matt Hardy. So that's just a prime example of, AEW's booking, AEW's creative freedom. This was solid veterans putting on a great wrestling match that told a great story. Both guys had some awesome high spots, some brutal stuff off the top, the brutal DDT on the steps. This was one that I felt was main event worthy feud, given the history and the names, the marquee names that these two carry. But for what it was worth, I think they did a great job telling the story. But I do think it did deserve a main event payoff. That's my only gripe on it. But this doesn't seem over. Obviously, what we saw at the end of the match, and
that's what I was going to say. Yeah,
it would be great to see Luchasaurus back in the ring, who's someone I'm very high on. So we can start to see HFO versus Christian Cage, plus obviously Jurassic Express. And so that will still make for a lot of great matches moving forward.
I'm all for that. I mean, Matt Hardy with Private Party going against Christian and Jurassic Express. That would be an awesome little trios match. I mean, that would be great. I agree with you. The way this match ended certainly feels like this is not the end, SPD. So for those main event dreams that you have, don't worry. Right. I think that there's still potential that's down the road. And certainly just what we talked about, that 6-man tag match, that's a main event right there. I mean, that could be a main event of a Dynamite, no doubt. I do find it also interesting. Like the commentary team talked a little bit about Jungle Boy and Christian at the end of the match and sort of how their interactions seemed a little off. There have definitely been seeds planted on it. Is this relationship wholly what we see on the surface right now between Jungle Boy and Christian? I'm interested to see that.
Much of that.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about that, and we'll see if that ends up. That maybe that's just me as a heel, wishful thinking that maybe Christian turns on him at some point. But at this point, right now, I felt like Christian tonight really, we've seen him. He's been undefeated in AEW, and he's really shown. I mean, whether he was in the Powerhouse Hobbs match, or we can go on and on about some of the matches that stood out along the way that Christian has had. But this is one of those matches where I felt like Christian really pulled out some of the things up, some of the tricks up his sleeve. I mean, the dive to the outside,
early on,
that frog splash, the height that he got on that frog splash was absolutely. I mean, that was vintage Christian. That was old school. Really enjoyed that. And as team heel, my favorite moment of this whole match was Matt Hardy, a new dad, kicking Christian in the nuts. I absolutely love that. I thought that was absolutely hilarious.
Of course,
very fitting. But I think that there's a lot of meat left on the bone for this one, SPD. This served its purpose. I think there were some people out there who were wondering, did this match need to happen on such a stacked card? But I think that, given what happened and how this ended, this feud is not over, and I think it's going to only get better from here.
Yes, I agree. And